Let's learn from each other.
Yeah, you can start. Testing comms. Welcome friends. What a beautiful moment we just had in the featured event, Women as Powerful Agents of Transformation for Peace. And now we welcome you to the Cosmic Madonna, embodying the Cosmic Madonna, a journey towards global harmony. This idea of the Divine Mother, Shekinah, Shakti, Mother Spirit. Is there any more beautiful word in any language than Mother? This gathering, this special event is devoted to the Cosmic Madonna. I want to welcome everyone. I want to acknowledge our extraordinary contributors as we go on a journey towards global harmony, as we embody the Cosmic Madonna, who through every tradition, every culture, indigenous wisdom all around the world, faith traditions, by so many names is known, the Divine Mother, Mother Spirit. Thank you and welcome to this special journey. And I would like to introduce Cosmic Madonna, one of the Cosmic Madonnas, Janice Hall. Gary, I think they're still getting their preparations ready, so let's maybe continue a little bit with a little bit more music as we welcome in these beautiful energies of the Divine Mother and the Cosmic Madonna. Janice Hall. Calling Janice Hall. Come in, wherever you are. Janice! 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 We are calling you in. Keep calling. Janice, welcome, welcome. Oh no, oh no. Fleeting in and around and near, can feel her presence and know that she is not far from us. Janice, we need you. Come to our aid. We're calling you forth. Please return, rise, be with us. Yes, she is with us. You could unmute, please, and speak to us. Yes. Hello, Janice. Greetings. Good evening. Janice, welcome. Are you unmuted? Oh, no. Oh, no.
We lost her again.
Janice, you're on. Let's get you unmuted. Janice, you're
Tell me
on.
when to go.
Can you unmute?
I'm unmuted. I am unmuted.
Oh, they've
You
killed me.
can't hear
then.
me?
Okay. I'm not hearing a thing.
I'm unmuted. Why is what's on the screen here? Is the PowerPoint?
Apparently she's on.
Is that
Get me off the
showing?
screen, Dylan.
Linda, the heart was in the waiting
Well, those
room.
beautiful music areas. I
Somehow
don't
she's
know
on
why
the
I couldn't
wrong
hear her.
link.
I don't know.
It did add a magical quality to the introduction. Didn't it?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I would have been lost without you.
No, I got that.
Can someone text Linda the room 111 room, because she's in the waiting room.
Welcome all to an ensemble cast in 4 acts that will take you through a journey from our cosmic origins to our fertile, potentiated future. But first, I will briefly share how we got to this now. A few days after Easter this year, a large global group was on a weekly Unity Earth Zoom, listening to a sharing about an event on Easter Sunday, presencing Mother Mary, when all of a sudden across my screen came an email from my friend Sally Randolph about Salvador Dali painting. And she's representing it. It's called Cosmic Madonna in 1958. It's been in a private collection for over 50 years. It's from his nuclear mysticism era that few know about, where he was blending the spiritual with quantum physics way ahead of his time. This exploration today is not about the painting per se, but the question of how could our conscious partnership with the Cosmic Madonna expand our ability to co-create global harmony as the new Earth rises. We hope to engage you along with us visionary thinkers, exploring the challenges, the opportunities, and solutions to embodying our cosmic nature. Join us on this multidimensional journey from the great mystery of beginningless cosmic origins to its continual manifestation in time and form. Our observation of the Salvador Dali Cosmic Madonna painting is that it prefigures the moment of evolution to a more collaborative, community-minded approach to living. We're inviting you to co-create with us a future where all embody a harmonious and dynamically balanced sacred marriage of the feminine and masculine within each of us, all our relations. Oh, in the beginning was the sound. And I'm going to invite Olivia to give us the opening prayer from Venerable Dihani. Olivia?
Thank you, Janice. We invite you to join us with your entire being on a journey beginning with this creation story and prayer of Venerable Dahani Wahu, an Aniyunwiwa Cherokee, ancient Wahu lineage holder of 27 generations, and a Tibetan Buddhist Khandro Dharma teacher, and founder and spiritual director of the Sunray Meditation Society, a UN NGO in the United States, and the Sunray Peace Village in Lincoln, Vermont. I'm Olivia Cheever, and I'm grateful to serve on her Council of Trustees. As a white woman, I am reading her words with her permission of my spiritual teacher, the Venerable Dahani Wahu, who is not able to be present as she is on retreat. First, I will read an excerpt from her book, Voices of Our Ancestors, Cherokee Teachings from the Wisdom Fire. Afterwards, you will hear her voice leading us in the heart chant. From the mysterious void came a sound, and the sound was light, and the light was will, intention to be, born of the emptiness. Creator being, fundamental tone of the universal song underlying all manifestation. Compassionate wisdom arose as will perceived the unmanifest potential of mind streaming forth. Will and compassion together gave birth to the fire of building intelligence, and thus was formed the sacred triangle from which all matter is derived, the 3 in 1. It is a mystery, we say. Here in this heart chant, you will hear Venerable Dahani singing her gratitude. First, the sound of the heart. Then her gratitude to the great mystery, Ateshnaeya, leading us in this ancient heart chant. In joy that the dew is on the grass and the people are happy.
Oh, the chant is embedded in the picture of the beauty way wisdom. That's the chant. See the little microphone in the corner of the picture? That's the chant you need to play. Olivia, you might say something, Olivia, while it's waiting to play.
We're waiting for the chant to be played. This is a very ancient chant, which we sing as part of our practices. And it's all about the heart chakra. And we visualize love, wisdom, and compassion radiating out from our heart to all people in all dimensions, all times. And we also are seeing rainbow torus rings radiating out everywhere with love, wisdom, and compassion. And then we listen for the return pulse, because we know that we're interconnected with everything, every being in all dimensions. So we're waiting for the chant. And in the meantime, if you just take a big breath in and let it out, and feel your heart. Put your hand on your heart. And visualize that rainbow torus rings, like beautiful manifestation of what the cosmic Vedana is showing us about love and compassion and joy, is radiating out forth to all dimensions and all times. And then listen for the return pulse. Love is the answer in a conscious, loving universe. Love is everywhere.
It's embedded. It's embedded in fun. It's in the corner of the picture. There's a little microphone. You'll see it's embedded. The chant, the audio is embedded right there.
Thank you. Back to you, Janice.
My heart is so full. Act 1. All our relations as earthen vessels embodying the cosmos. Duncan, would you like to take us on a sonic theological journey, please?
Indeed. Well, I'll put it this way. From the dark womb of beginningless time, our cosmos first shrugged and manifested as a sonic vibration, a harmonic hum that reverberated throughout the silence as an always present and omnipresent sound of the cosmos, sound of the universe, articulated as AUM, Aum, or Om.
Victoria, take it away.
Duncan, you muted yourself, so we missed it.
Oh, shit. You want me to go back?
Please.
Okay. From the dark womb of beginningless time, our cosmos first shrugged and manifested as a sonic vibration, a harmonic hum that reverberated throughout in the silence as an always present and omnipresent sound of the cosmos, sound of the universe, articulated as AUM, Aum, or Om, according to the sonic theology of India as the largest indigenous culture on earth. It is a harmonic which includes all of creation, each of us and all our relations, and all of the ongoing infinite creativity and manifestation of form as the cosmos expands infinitely in its vastness, bringing into light of form, manifestation of ever more diverse and beautiful forms, and unifying all creation at higher and higher levels of diversity, with love and truth as its foundational energy. This is our heritage and our destiny to be resonant with and embody.
Welcome, dear friends. When I was first asked to join the Cosmic Madonna presentation, I had not considered the meaning of the Madonna in much depth. She was not a big part of my cultural upbringing, and being steeped in non-duality, Madonna was not at the upfront in my considerations or my awareness. So the first thing I did was to look up the meaning of cosmic. And the meaning was inconceivable vastness, infinite vastness. And that was the opening. And it keeps unfolding and going on and deeper and deeper. So I hope you'll enjoy this video. Out of the essence of a cosmic happening, the infinite vastness of love beams the radiance of the cosmic Madonna. The tonality of caringness, tenderness, devotion floods space. This divine impetus creates the graceful, natural universe, an unfathomable unfolding variety in measureless movement. How can we mere humans comprehend that immensity? It takes our breath away. Expanding, never-ending, breathing out life with its newness and grandeur. We are here to pay homage to that. And oh, so delicate and ornate angels' wings, embracing us with sweetness. And in the mysterious birthing vessels, the wombs of creation for stars, galaxies, and sparklings, the birth canal contractions announcing arrival. Of soul, the soul of being. And that soul comes to rest in the eyes of love and in the words of our beloved Rumi, whenever this love comes to rest in me, I am what I am. I am, I am. I am what I am. And then with her magic wand, this cosmic goddess mother originates color, the magnification of the heavens, highlighting every pore of being. Sometimes with humor, sometimes with surprise, always with fun. And suddenly, thoughts, beliefs, ideas, assumptions drift in from nowhere. Drift in from nowhere. Chaos and even confusion, the drama of living. And we appear boxed in designs that are edgy and sharp. Edgy and sharp. Time takes over the flowing rhythm, and our breath gets tighter. We cannot see a way out. We cannot see a way out. Every direction has boundaries. And then, in a radical allowing, the Madonna melody chants to us with tones of motherliness, kindness, adoration, and love. Dissolving the illusory confinement and revealing the field beyond ideas. We who are sculpted in the feminine form of life, we are the vehicle that anchors the Madonna's cosmic selfhood. We embody this love in a living organic wholeness of home. We embody this love in the organic, living wholeness of home. Now the amazing Anasuya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us to celebrate the Divine Sacred Feminine, as we're calling her tonight, the Cosmic Mother. Thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful offering from your heart to your art. Thank you so much, Victoria. I will start us off with a prayer written by the mystic nearby star. So let's just center ourselves, take a deep breath, and let us be present and offer our oneness to this prayer. O Shekinah, yours is the feminine face of the holy, the luminous moon who lights up the night as we travel from captivity to liberation. The pillar of fire who guides our way home, the cloud hovering over the mountain peaks, living sign that the drought is over. You are the indwelling presence of the divine. Whenever we gather to praise the one, you are here in our midst. When we cry out for justice, you make our hearts tender. When we stand with those on the margins, you make our legs strong. When we create works of art and parent our children and harvest our gardens, you guide and sustain us. You are the Sabbath bride, the beloved returned from exile. You restore balance in our relationships and wholeness to our fragmented soul. You infuse our lovemaking with honey. You fill the cup of our hearts, which tremble with longing, with the wine of your answering love. You are the song of our homecoming. You are the Sabbath queen, the great mother who sits at the heart of the table, tearing off hunks of the secret bread that contains the exact flavor each of us loves best. You feed us all, the proud and the repentant, the believer and the skeptic, from your own hands. Your unconditional forgiveness dissolves otherness. O Shekinah, we are the vessel of your inflowing. Your radiance requires the clay of our embodiment. Your flame burns at the core of the earth. Warmth pits the seedbed and animates the seedlings. You bless the head of every animal and kiss the tear-streaked face of humanity. You are the vision that builds community, and you are our refuge when the fabric of community unravels. Be with us now. Be with us now as we navigate this landscape of mystery, where your most cherished attributes, wild mercy and boundless compassion, righteousness and wisdom, seem to be cast aside and trampled by imperious world powers, and we are paralyzed by helplessness. Help us. May we remember you and lift you up. May we recognize your face and celebrate your beauty in everything and everyone, everywhere, always. Amen. And woman. So the Divine Mother, she comes to us out of her infinite compassion. And all over the world, there have been sightings of the Divine Mother, apparitions in many cultures and in many religions, whether it be Tara for the Buddhists, whether it be Oshun for those who practice Ifa, may it be Isis, or maybe Mother Mary, who has made hundreds and hundreds of apparitions in the last 50 years. Why is this happening? Because of our Divine Mother, our Cosmic Mother, loves us too much to let us be here alone in this desert, in this wilderness, in this unlawness, she refuses to leave us alone, as the prayer says. She walks with us. So this photo that you see in front of you and the one that comes after it is of Our Lady, is a divine mother apparition that was not made from human hands. It's been proven that this was not made from human hands. This lady came, her name is Lajas in Colombia. I'm sorry, this is Our Lady of the Pillar. I got them all mixed up, sorry. In Spain. She appeared to Saint Mark in Spain. No, sorry. No. Wrong one. Can't think of his name right now. Excuse me. The one to Compostela, St. James the Greater. When he was most despondent, when he was most in despair, when he was feeling like he was getting nowhere and sharing the beauty of this path, she appeared to him and said, hold out. He was with 70 other worshipers. So he was not alone in seeing Our Lady in front of him. And when she said, do not give up, build a church here on this place, and this path will be to me, which has become Compostela, Via Compostela. This picture, this pillar, this icon, and in the next photo, you'll see how long it is. It's a very long pillar. She handed it from the sky, surrounded by angels. Can you imagine? Just out of thin air. And we might not have believed the saint because, hyperbole does sell. But there were 70 other people who were just trying out Christianity, just trying to see if it was something they really could convert to. But when they saw Mother Mary, those angels and this pillar come from thin air into solid three-dimensional being with her on it holding the sweet baby Jesus. Well, they just knew Mother is real. And all traditions before Christianity honored the mother. So seeing the mother come before them and bless them and let them know that their suffering will end, to have faith and to hold on and not give up, was just the sign that they needed. And now we'll see some other ways the vessels of the Divine Mother can manifest.
Oh.
Where's the screen? Lions. Oh, hello. Part 2, her story on planet Earth. The vessel's journey, dark to the light. Duncan, please take us on a journey through the patriarchy of the ages.
Thank you, Janice. And thank you, Anasuya. And thank you, Victoria. Beautiful. sharings here, and I want to start with the beginnings of humankind. The anthropologists say that in the beginning, humans experienced, not just thought about or did philosophizing, but actually experienced themselves in what in French is called participation mystique, a mystic participation with all relations in the cosmos. In other words, the mineral kingdom, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, we humans, the stars above, the planets, the rishis with Vedic astrology going back thousands and thousands of years. And out of this sense of complete participation, they evolved a behavior of partnership, equal responsibility between the masculine and the feminine in hunter-gatherer times for obvious reasons, because of the physicality required for the hunt, and also the protection required for the man to provide, where the mother could tend to the hearth with the help of her daughters and be safe, particularly during times of pregnancy. It turns out that with the relatively recent research of Maria Gimbutas and our own Rianne Eisler, whom you will be hearing from shortly, when we move from the Paleolithic into the Neolithic 10,000 years ago, we began as humans to domesticate plants and have settled agriculture, meaning we didn't have to follow the protein and travel all the time as we had previously. And during this early period of the Neolithic, which is about 10,000 years ago, the goddess culture was very strong. And the goddess is like the mother, mater, matrix, matter, protecting and nourishing all. And in that modality, we went on until about the middle of the Neolithic, 6,000 years ago. And then a transformation happened, which I call the adolescence period of our species. You might think of the beginnings of hunter-gatherers in the Paleolithic and prior even as kind of the birthing of the human. And you might think of settled agriculture as the childhood in a good family, where, again, the partnership model of cooperation between masculine and feminine and the nurturing goddess dominated. Then things changed. And one way to think about it is if you look at the symbol for the feminine, it's a circle with a cross underneath. So all embracing, nurturing, holistic. If you look at the symbol for masculine, it's a circle with a project or projected arrow going out from the upper right-hand corner. And that reflects the fact that women can create life from within their own body. And all of the early stone cave paintings, for instance, from 30, 40,000 years ago in Lascaux and Altamira and so on, show the woman naked. Her body itself is empowered. Men are depicted usually in some kind of activity because men can only create outside their body. Therefore, they became, for the most part, the people that invented skill sets and techne or tools to improve the survivability of the species. And at the same time, they actually began the patriarchy, where Marduk came into the Fertile Crescent, as explained by Joseph Campbell about 6,000 years ago, destroyed the goddess imagery and set himself up as a god. And you can read all about this in my dialogue about his book, Goddesses, The Mysteries of the Feminine Divine. It's on YouTube, Living Dialogues, Duncan Campbell. So we skip forward then, the progression of more and more tool making dominated by a male-dominated society, no longer a partnership. And that goes all the way through the Industrial Revolution, the Scientific Revolution, and now the Technology Revolution, where we have tech titans striding the planet, billionaires who have narcissistic adolescent mentalities. And so we've lost touch with that deep partnership between masculine and feminine that's going to be necessary to get ourselves out of this initiatic crisis that's been created by the patriarchy called climate change. And there's no guarantee that our species will survive rather than falling back into the evolutionary muck. And what it will take is a rise of the feminine, a calling forth of the deep, mature feminine to be joined by us as deep, mature masculine in a sacred marriage, which will be the next era. And it's very interesting with these vessels because Jung said, C.G. Jung, that all transformation has to go through the body of the feminine. What that means, in a variation on Einstein's famous talk or comment, that the patriarchy cannot actually birth itself. It has no way to get beyond now maybe getting perhaps fatally lost in AI. And so what we need now is a new kind of consciousness, more community-oriented, balancing the dynamic partnership again between male and female and re-evoking our indigenosity of sacred participation in all of the cosmos and all of our relations. That is in our DNA physically, it's in our DNA psychically, and it's just waiting to be reawakened. And this takes us now to where we are with the opportunity here to hospice, if you will, the end of the patriarchy, which is in its death throes now, and actually then midwife this new sacred consciousness, sacred marriage, a mature divine feminine within each of us, a mature divine masculine within each of us. That would be anima and animus, as Jung explained. And so with that, we go now, Janice, to the rise of the feminine.
Thank you. Thank you, Duncan, for that beautiful panoramic journey through the last many millennia that have brought us to this amazing moment of this incredible collaboration and partnership celebrating the cosmic Madonna today. We've come a long way. And what a beautiful sharings and offerings we've had from Victoria, Anasuya, Janice, Olivia, Venerable Diani, and yourself there, Duncan, on this journey. And thank you to everybody who's with us as well for your graciousness and patience as we find our way forward together in partnership. It really is an extraordinary story, perhaps the story of our time, this coming together in balance, where the gifts of the feminine are in harmony and balance with the gifts of the masculine, the genius and heart of the feminine perspective and feminine aspect of reality coming into co-creative, beautiful partnership with the masculine genius and heart as well. It is an extraordinary moment told today through these tales and stories and songs of devotion and of love and of coming together with deep humility and respect and honoring, which really is the antithesis and the antidote to that domination paradigm that Duncan was speaking about and which we are all living through. And someone, you know, who we're very, very blessed and honored to have with us, who is a living legend in this moment, in this momentous story of the rebalancing from domination to partnership, and really who has laid out a pathway forward into a culture of partnership, is the amazing Rian Eisler. And so we're very fortunate and very blessed. And again, thank you everybody for being with us. Patience, of course, is one of the great attributes of the divine feminine. So thank you for all of that that's with us today. We can feel your love and support. And my honor to go now to the amazing and the extraordinary thought leader and spiritual leader, Rian Eisler.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Ben and Duncan and Olivia and, well, all of you. As you know, I wrote The Chalice and the Blade, which really, it tells the real story of what actually happened in our past that Duncan referred to. And I thought that I would show you just 3 slides. This one is from the Neolithic, because it's the archaeological evidence. It's not only the mythical evidence, but the historical evidence, even DNA evidence today, that shows that we really have been told a false story of our past, and therefore also a false story of what is possible for our present and our future. Now, the fact is, and there is more and more evidence coming out of all of these disciplines and more, that we have a long, long history of the divine feminine and of the sacred marriage. Because this is an early depiction, really, of the sacred marriage. You see the very clearly etched vulva and the penis. Sex was not considered part of what we consider the obscene. It was really part of the cycle of life and death and sex and regeneration. And this is what our forebears really believed in. And this lasted for a very long time. And if I can have the next slide, please, which is of Inanna and Dumuzi. You know, this is where we usually, and I would love the next slide, by the way. But all right, eventually, maybe it'll come or not. There we are. There is the goddess Inanna, the goddess of love and procreation, the most revered deity in ancient Sumer, which is where we're told our history begins, which is absolute nonsense. This is where our history continues. And it was still in the tablets, the first cuneiform tablets that we know of are actually the hymns of Inanna. And there she writes of her sacred marriage, her sacred union with what was there by then the god king, Dumuzi. I mean, think about that. Really, he had to have intercourse, actually sex, with the goddess, as was Inanna, in order to ascend the throne. And that was already when the Lugol, or the big man, took charge. It was in the midst of this time of shift. But the shift took a long, long time, and we have inherited so much mythology that quite literally stands reality on its head. For example, and I would love to have the next slide here, just to give you a sense of the historical span here, because what you'll see in the next slide, which eventually, I suppose, will appear, is what happened after the shift. And it's really symbolized by the story of Adam and Eve being expelled from paradise. There it comes. This is by an artist of the early Renaissance, and it's a painting of the expulsion from paradise, from this earlier age of partnership, because the term partnership and domination systems was really first introduced in the chalice and the blade. That is a picture of what happened after the so-called fall. But why are we supposed to believe this story? When I was a child, I always used to wonder, it says in the Bible that henceforth woman is to be subservient to man. And I always wanted to know, what was it like before the henceforth? Well, I didn't find out until I did my research that you can read about in my books. But I also wanted to know, why would women ask advice from a snake? I mean, we usually don't do this, but think about it for a moment. The snake was an ancient symbol of oracular prophecy, aside from representing the shedding of the skin and the cycles of life, etc. So the snake was really part of the old story. And yes, if you think of the Oracle of Delphi, you still have a Pythoness, a priestess working with snakes after the shift to the domination system. That's how long that belief system lingered. And I really want to say, then I will come back to talk about that, because this story is not over. This story is very important for us to know what really happened in our past. But the most important thing now is to use it. And yes, the return of the feminine is part of that story, the return of both the secular and the divine feminine. So I thank you, and I will leave it to the next person to continue.
Excuse me. Speaking of expulsion, Rian, our wonderful goddess Anasuya was booted out and needs to be readmitted. So,
oh my goodness!
Thank you so much. We're so delighted that you are here. Excuse me.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Rian and Duncan, for such an amazing view. There's so much wonder, so much to know about. Things are so interesting. And I want to bring us back to a courageous woman with a timeless message. And I'm sure you've all heard of her, Mirabai. And isn't that a beautiful name? So Mirabai was a Rajasthani princess in India. 500 years ago, she was destined to become a queen. At 20, she was wed to a prince in a political alliance. And on her wedding day, she not only refused to worship Durga, the goddess of her in-laws, but she states that she's already married to Krishna. Can you believe that? 500 years ago. So Mirabai's defiance begins. She rejects all constrictions on women, the arranged marriages, the expectation of a docile, obedient life, of a cloistered Rajasthani wife. She steps out of the system. In a world of invisible women, Mira becomes visible. She steps out of the ironclad caste system. It's shocking. A woman of royalty mingling with devotees, with men, with lower castes. She secretly leaves her husband's palace night after night to go to a local village, and she invites other women to join her in the streets. Now, the streets are a place where women's feet are forbidden. Her family tries to stop her. They try to poison her. So, dressed in a robe of white cotton, Mirabai leaves home. Once more, her family tries to stop her and kidnap her and take her home on a donkey. This is her response that is right here with us 500 years later. The colors of the dark one have penetrated Mira's body, all other colors washed out. Making love with the dark one and eating little. Those are my pearls and my carnelians, meditation beads and forehead streaks. Those are my scarves and my rings. That's enough feminine wiles for me. My teacher taught me this. Approve me or disapprove me. I praise the mountain energy night and day. I take the path that ecstatic human beings have taken for centuries. I don't steal money. I don't hit anyone. What will you charge me with? I have felt the sway of the elephant's shoulders. And now you want me to climb on a jackass. Try to be serious. Try to be serious. think and on to Olivia.
Thank you, Victoria. I think you're proving that this is a story that goes on for eons. All my life, I've learned to pay attention to signs and coincidences, or what Carl Jung called synchronicities. The simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection, as invitations to pay attention more closely to what is unfolding around me. These three synchronicities happened recently while working on my part for the Cosmic Madonna. The first one happened back in January 2017. The next two happened just a few days ago, one after the other, each one reminding me of the message of the Cosmic Madonna for this challenging time for all of us on Mother Earth. The first synchronicity in January 2017, just before the Women's March to protest the inauguration. Coming to work one morning, I found the head of my favorite statue of Kuan Yin, goddess of compassion, lying on the ground. I felt this shock deep in my heart. My whole body reacted. Stunned, I had to do something. I picked up her head, lying nearby on the ground, and placed it on a shelf under the window above her body, so that at least her head would be nearby. I took these photos that you see on the screen to help me remember this sign. And shortly thereafter that night, these words before the January 20th, 2017, the Women's March, these words poured out of me. Divine Feminine, Goddess of Compassion, you who are divided, far, but not too far, in view, signs pointing to what? Listen, a rustle in the trees is growing, from their roots sounding the cry. She is weeping. Her whisper grows to a roar. Love is the answer. Rejoining splits. We are the answer. Let not our voice be muffled. Then a second synchronicity, now in September 2023. Just last week, I noticed on Facebook, our dear sister, Noreen Yunus, who runs a Catholic relief organization in Pakistan, posted this picture of her holding the decapitated head of the Madonna a few days after the riots and church burnings against Catholics. I felt this is another sign to take note of. I spoke with our Noreen, offering my support, and she gave us permission to show her image. Then that same week, a third synchronicity. After sharing Noreen's photo with our Cosmic Madonna team, that same day, Janice found in her garage, while looking for something else, this sign which she had saved from the Women's March, January 21st, 2017. You may remember that Janice is the member of our team who brought Dolly's Cosmic Madonna to the attention of all of us when she was exhibited last June in New York City. I feel this is a third synchronicity, calling all of us to wake up, notice, and respond together like the Cosmic Madonna with love and joy. Thank you. Now we have Anasuya, the divine goddess, and we need to make sure that she's not in the waiting room. If you can readmit her, if she's still there. Can somebody please readmit Anasuya?
Anasuya is here. She just needs to unmute herself.
Okay, now you can unmute yourself, Anasuya. Thank you, Ingrid.
And come closer to her video so that her background isn't just showing, but that we can see her lovely face.
Yes. Lovely.
Anasuya, love, can you hear us? Can you hear us? She's got her, I think she's on her phone because she had gotten booted out of the room and came back in. Let me see if I can just call her.
He's walking.
Oh dear, she's frozen.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you just show the images and the vessel video and skip it. Is anybody hearing from her on text or anything?
I'm in conversation in the background here with Hubcast, so I can't get a hold of her. This image is Durga, and I know that she wants to speak to this. So,
Well,
Victoria, can you call her?
The goddess was really split into two. And here we see the cycle of death, but she was also the giver of life. And she didn't really, the belief system, I think, as best we can tell, was that we return to her womb after death to be once again reborn. And but of course, in Hinduism, like in all of the other religions that we have today, things got a little bit distorted, shall we say? For example, we see images of Shakti and Shiva, in which Shiva is 10 times the size of Shakti, which is absolute nonsense. That's not a sacred marriage. That is a reflection of the shift to domination. So I don't know if that helps, but I do think we should go on.
Yes, play the vessel video. My Phoenix, please. May I have my Phoenix slide, please? Thank you very much. Thank you. Act 3, today. The rising of the feminine. We're now at the edge of conscious evolution. As Venerable Dahani notes, will and compassion together gave birth to the fire of building intelligence, reawakened, and the phoenix rising from the fire. I wrote this poem in 2016, and I was told in a meditation recently to pull it out again. So I share this with you. The awakened, collective, feminine phoenix. Daunting challenges ignite a roaring fire in the belly. Yet, somewhere between worlds, the path becomes clear. Rising from the ashes of her former self, burning bright, the glow is transcendence, predecessor of transformation. Spreading her wings, spirit unfurled, she travels the void of the cosmic, painting her art on the universe. O mistress of the sky, healing powers awakened, reborn from the ashes of her soul. O powerful woman, now rendered as her authentic self. I ask that we all take this moment to recognize that each and every one of us has an authentic self that's part of the ecosystem of life. And when we own that authentic self, we can become what we were destined to become as co-partners and co-creators in the evolution of humans, all sentient beings, Mother Gaia, and beyond. Now, Rian, maybe you can share with us about how the divine feminine is being restored these days.
Well, I have a slide which will eventually appear here. There it is, the new Adam and Eve's. But I want to return for just a second to the cosmic Madonna and to the reverse of the divine feminine. Because who do you really think Mary is? Mary is a demoted figure in a religion in which, I mean, if you think about it, the divine pantheon, only the males, the Father and the Son, are divine. She is the only mortal in it, which is absolute nonsense, of course. I mean, how can the Mother of God be the only mortal? So it's really a reclamation of Mary as who she really is. And yes, she is the divine womb. She is the source of, well, not only life and nurture, she is the transformer of our culture and therefore of ourselves. And I love this picture because it really says something about the future, what it can be. It's the new Adam and Eve who are not expelled from paradise. And I thought that rather than going on about this, when I talk about reclaiming the unity not only of female and male and reclaiming the divine feminine, I'm also talking about reclaiming our lives. I want to read to you from a book that I wrote after Chalice and the Blade. It's called Sacred Pleasure, which is in itself a heresy, of course, because we are so used to a system that's held together, a domination system that's held together by fear rather than pleasure, than sharing pleasure. And the book, chapter 1, starts with the following: candles, music, flowers, and wine. These we all know are the stuff of romance, of sex, and of love. But candles, flowers, music, and wine are also the stuff of religious ritual, of our most sacred rites. Why is there this striking, though seldom noted, commonality? Is it just accidental that passion is the word we use for both sexual and mystical experiences? Or is there here some long forgotten but still powerful connection? Could it be that the yearning of so many women and men for sex as something beautiful and magical in our long repressed impulse is our long repressed impulse toward a more spiritual and at the same time more intensely passionate way of expressing sex and love? So we don't consider violence bad. I've heard people standing outside of, mass entertainment ethics and saying, well, the violence doesn't bother them, but is there anything sexual in it, right? That is obscene. But in the old religion and in the old iconography, which was sacred iconography, no, the human body is celebrated rather, and pleasure is celebrated. So I want to leave us just with that thought that it isn't only the rise of the divine feminine, the so-called cosmic Madonna. It is a shift from domination to partnership. And it is a shift that every one of us can be an agent of. So I count on all of you to make this happen.
Anasuya, can you come in?
Anasuya is having trouble seeing and hearing anything, so we need some help from our wonderful.
Anasuya, her mic is off. Will you put your mic on?
I just want to say that all these images show the lasting memory, the lasting power of the divine feminine. But we have to really reclaim her as a full equal. And yes, as what she is, the source of love and enlightenment.
Or does it look like that Anasuya will join us? If we should skip it, then John Bowler, can you bring us into your world?
Thank you, Jenny. I'm talking about midwifery, motherhood, and Mungo Lady. As a fact-counted contemplator on my personal journey with the cosmic Madonna, there was an unusual noise at the front door, and upon investigating, there was a duck. Never been before, and have no idea how it appeared. But somehow it was a wonderful symbol of synchronicity that made me think I needed to seriously think about why the duck.
John?
Yes. Can you hear me? Looked up the symbol for ducks and discovered their universal appeal represented families, loyalty, and interconnectedness. This encounter prompted me to reflect on the significance of motherhood, drawing parallels between the mother duck, the cosmic Madonna, and indigenous wisdom, who all lived in harmony with nature. My journey with the cosmic Madonna started when I came across Salvador Dali's remarkable painting through my involvement with Unity Earth, a group of peace builders. It made me revisit the influence of my life and the relationship of Madonna to me. Coincidentally, I married Jim Bowler, a climate change scientist, knowing for discovering Mungo Lady and Mungo Land, who changed human history by presenting as modern humans, who lived in harmony with the land for 42,000 years. And that's the photo behind me. That's where they resided. This direct connection led me to ponder what I have learned from this longest living continuous culture as we navigate the challenges of this changing world. My upbringing in a devout Catholic family with a strong female influence and a father who honoured women, I shaped my early years. As a child, I loved playing with little dolls and with loving smaller infants than myself, which eventually led me down the pathway to midwifery, following on from gender nursing. My passion for midwifery drew me into the Royal Children's Hospital here in Melbourne, where I witnessed the joys and sorrows of childbirth, including stillbirth, miscarriage, and other difficult situations. However, as a midwife, I was in awe as the mystery and sacredness of women giving birth. This has never ceased to amaze me. Due to the mystery and the marvel as the human female body performed by producing the next generation to the world, I felt privileged to be part of this miracle by assisting women to bring forth new life. I also experienced how the strength and power of women is so underestimated. My journey as the mother of 6 children, including my youngest, Ben, who's here, gave me first-hand insight into the challenges and joys of motherhood. I felt immensely blessed, and raising the children was a purpose I valued. Now retired from nursing and midwifery, I have the joy of passing over my 11 grandchildren. However, I'm also in a new phase. I'm experiencing a personal rebirth, a journey into the new worth rising. The transformation has been encouraged and guided, almost like a form of midwifery, by Ben, my son. He has opened unexpected pathways, and our relationship now resembles the mysterious connection depicted in Dali's Madonna and Child painting. Turning my attention to the challenge of modern motherhood, I'm concerned about some negative impact of technology, fragmented relationships, disconnected from support groups, and the environment factors on the mental health of mothers and their unborn children, i.e. noise pollution, chemical pollution, and so on. I recently watched a documentary called In Utero by Stephen Galileo. I'll try and pronounce it. I'll spell Gyllenhaal, who says, "How we begin is who we become," which underscores the importance of support during pregnancy and beyond. I firmly believe that we need to reevaluate and give honour back to motherhood as sacred and noble. Motherhood and midwifery in all forms deserves our respect and recognition. Every human being is unique, and as such, a collective effort to restore the beauty, joy, and beauty back into motherhood should be obtained by helping to foster global harmony with the vitality of the cosmic Madonna, mother of all mothers, in this new earth rising, for the sake of humanity. As I conclude, I cannot help but be struck by the timeless mystique of the cosmic mother and child. This ancient symbol, blended with modern wisdom from physics and the arts, serving as a guiding light, inspiring a deep appreciation for the preciousness of life. In a world caught between the ancient and the modern, I believe we have the power to co-create a harmonious future that honours the past, embraces the present, and looks forward to the future with hope and purpose. And I hope that is the legacy we leave for the future for the sake of humanity. And thank you for Mungo Lady. Thank you.
Wow, Mum. Mum, thank you. What an amazing presentation you put together. I know how diligently you've worked on this over the last month, as everybody here who's been crafting this exquisite program from Mum, from ducks to Dali, and from Manga Lady to the Cosmic Madonna. You've covered a lot of ground in the context of this New Earth Rising. It's an honor and a privilege and very humbled to respond to you while I'm far away on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. You know, the closeness of mother and son, and you have 6 children and you love dearly, and all those grandchildren as well. But my honor to be here representing your children. And the idea of sonship, you know, as I was getting ready for this, it struck me that my name in Hebrew actually means son. It is the meaning of Ben. And to be here as we talk about the Cosmic Madonna and inspired by this painting, brilliant, genius painting of Salvador Dali, who's such a character, and with such wit and such deep mysticism and humor. But the essence of the relationship, and I think is everything that's been laid out, from the beautiful mystical poetry to those gorgeous images that have been shared today, the essence of it really is about relationship and the intimacy of family relationship, whether we're holding the Divine Trinity or any family structure. And we know these days in the modern world, family structures take all different forms and don't just conform to one shape. But ultimately, it's the intimacy of that relationship, both in the divine and the human spheres, is where love is. And that can be between a mother and a son, or between husband and wife, or good friends, or people working together on a shared mission. That essence of love and the relational nature of reality is really what we're celebrating here today as we embody the Cosmic Madonna. So, Mum, thank you for your mother's love, not just for me, and not even just for your children, but for a growing community of life that is even beyond the human world, embracing your ancestral spirits and ducks that come to your doorway. You're a beautiful example, Mother, of a mother's love, and what no greater compliment really could I give you. Very proud of you, and very grateful that we get to share this experience together, and as we have so many. And may there be many more, and may we all be inspired by mother's love. Whatever your great example of mother's love may be for people listening into this, or maybe there are wounds there, or maybe there are traumas there, but beyond all of that, the overarching reality and truth and spiritual presence of the Cosmic Madonna, of the Divine Mother. We as humans may be imperfect reflections of that, and yet we keep going forward, and we keep showing up together, and we keep learning. But we know that beyond all of the brokenness and the brokenheartedness and the suffering and the shame and the sorrow and the despair, that ultimately beyond all of that, there is a universe that is based upon the love of family, and that is holding us, and that is nurturing us, and that is keeping us close as any mother has ever kept their child. So thank you, Mum. Thank you, Mother. Thank you to all the Cosmic Madonnas here. We have more to share, but it's just such a privilege to hear your reflections, Mum, and to be able to reflect them to you and to others. Now, let's have a moment of contemplation for the emergence of the sacred marriage with Linda DeHart's video, Slow Dancing.
4. As the partner's dance transcends one moment to the next, we move into conscious evolution, presencing the sacred marriage, the future now. We invite you, and you are inspiration, initiation, and activation. Duncan, grace us with your thoughts in this moment.
Duncan, to unmute.
Duncan, please unmute yourself. Or turn your microphone on, Duncan. Thank you.
Yeah, what a wonderful opportunity to be here and at the end of this, near the end of this wonderful sharing. And I have to say that in terms of the sacred marriage, we've already talked about Jung talking about any person to individuate, to empower themselves, and to be able to take that empowerment back into community needs to develop both his or her anima and animus, inner masculine and feminine, in internal sacred marriage. And then it gets taken to the outside, where I would say, for instance, comment on Riane Eisler earlier, saying the culture, even in India, over time had slipped into a heavily masculinized version of Shiva Shakti, with Shiva being much bigger than Shakti, which was, of course, not at all the original indigenous depiction. And I just wanted to say that I've spent 2 years in India, and during that time, I learned that the word Shiva, S-H-I-V-A, if you take away the vowel I, the word Shiva means corpse. And so it's very interesting if you look at the origins of what we've talked about in the cosmos. We've talked about the cosmos being a marriage of truth and love. They're both flip sides, you might say, of the same coin. And the motto for India is truth and love alone triumph. And these are the values that we can hold dear and manifest, just as they're manifest in the great vastness of the cosmos and the cosmic Madonna and co-creator father figure. And we think even about the United States having a motto of e pluribus unum, out of the many one. It's similar in India as well. And so I think here the invitation is, again, with truth and love. Gandhi talked about satyagraha, to hold always closely to the truth, because that's what brings you into the vibrational love essence of the cosmos, and then you radiate out from that in your own person. And there is the phrase that exists in India of Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means truth. Chit means consciousness, conscious loving. And Ananda means bliss. So if you hew to the truth and you experience and share love, you will have this feeling of Anand or bliss. And I feel this is what Joseph was pointing to in his deep message of follow your bliss. So let us all join and emulate and embody the cosmic Madonna as we've done here, and with many, many thanks to all that have shared, because my program, Living Dialogues, the motto is co-creative dialogue and personal story sharing is the language of evolution. And this has been a wonderful sharing, and I also want to acknowledge the deep listening audience, as I do, because it's their yearning and attentiveness that has actually evoked many of these spontaneous articulations that we've been privileged to be able to make because of their deep resonance with us.
Marcia, are you available? Anastasia?
I think that
We've got her on the line in Hubcast to hopefully broadcast her sound through that way.
Anasuya will guide us through visuals of sacred couples. Hopefully.
Beautiful.
Can you show her picture? It's right here. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We're trying to get Anasuya to be able to be broadcast in with us. She's back here in the video, but not in sound, and we're trying to connect those through. So thank you for your patience, everyone.
I'm called to add in this interim another phrase from Gandhi, which is, there have been dictators and strong men with great cruelty all throughout history, but in the end, they always fail. Think of this always. Strong men alone, of course, cannot survive. They're not in rhythm with the cosmos itself.
Well, I am going to have to leave because it is getting so late here. But I just want to say to everyone, we don't want to go back to any good old days, but we do know from our past that how the roles and relations, both secular and divine, of the male and female and the so-called masculine and feminine are organized is a key social and economic organizing principle. And if we are to move towards harmony with nature, from conquest of nature, that is something that we have to keep in mind. And this is why the return of the divine feminine is so vital to all of us. So I thank you all, and I'm going to have to go. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, Rian.
Oh, right. Okay, yes.
Hey, there she is. All right.
Thank you. Goodbye. And bless you all.
Blessings. So there you are.
Hi.
So yeah. Great.
Divine blessings to everyone. Are we doing blessings or are we doing the slide that's on the screen?
You got Isis and Osiris and Horus, the Holy Trinity, Kemet, Egypt to comment on the screen.
Yes, well, I will gladly comment on it. These are 4 slides are my favorite sacred couples. And the first one being Isis and Osiris, who are the ultimate love couple. I mean, their passion was no joke. They flew and created love all over. And Isis was so devoted to her husband that when he was killed, she found a way to not only bring him back to life, he's the first example of resurrection. So love is so powerful that it could resurrect the dead when partnered with good intention. So their love is outstanding. And they rule together in passion and love. And so we can go to the next slide. And this couple is from both Sumeria and Babylonia. That's Ishtar and Tammuz. And Ishtar is also called Astarte. And Tammuz is also called Dumunzi. And they, Rian spoke a little bit about them earlier, but this couple is so powerful in their love that they created the time, both spring and winter. They created the seasons. Their love created passion and commitment and dedication to one another and to humanity. So I love that the one of the sacred couples is them that embody that love that it looks like nature, Mother Nature in action. We can go to the next slide. Oshun and Shango. Oshun is the goddess of beauty, of sweetness, of honey, of joy. She's the goddess of fertility. She's the goddess, well, so is her mother, Yamaya. She's the goddess of compassion, empathy. She is the equivalent of, we would say, Aphrodite or Venus. She is just beauty, behold. And her mate is Shango. He is powerful. He is fierce. He's the war god. He handles his business, and their love is fierce. They're warrior fierce. But she always reminds them that whenever the ego needs to be taken care of, when we get out of sorts and forget our divinity, to always bring back the honey, to always bring back the sweetness, to always put honey on our tongue. And so their love is passionate, it's beautiful, it's loving, and it's tender, but also there's that fire in there. And the next slide. Lakshmi and Vishnu, they're from India. So in the Hindu tradition, all the gods have goddesses, they have consorts. So you will not find one without the other. And I believe that system of divinity really holds the power, the understanding about sacred marriage or the heroes gamos, that one really isn't able to do what it's supposed to do without the other. So the male energy, which is represented by Vishnu, but also by Shiva and Brahma, is the energy that is in earth. It's the absolute. It is the all. But it cannot do anything without a Shakti component. It's energy side. So what we might call in the Christianity, the Holy Spirit. Like it exists, but without action, without the energizing spirit that is feminine, that is creative, that is nurturing, that gives birth to the creations, then whatever Shiva or Vishnu thinks of can't manifest, because it needs an activating force, which is the feminine force, to take that energy and transform it into something alchemical, something cosmic, something wholly new and unique unto itself. And so that system of partnership, it's like you cannot have one without the other, because they don't work. Shakti, the Shakti energy needs her mate, the container, and the container needs energy. Otherwise, it's just a great idea, but without action behind it, it doesn't manifest. So divine sacred love is that which is creative, which is nurturing, which is partnership, which is honoring the divine in each other, seeing each other as gods and goddesses, really holding up that standard that love is creative, it's powerful, it's divine, and it is us. All of these embodiments of the divine sacred marriage are inside of us. We are both the male and female. We are both masculine and feminine. We are both the absolute and the activating power. And the key is to bring them into union in ourselves. Because when we're in balance with ourselves, when we have both sides equally in harmony, all that we give out and all that we share is divine. And that's our invitation. Thank you. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not sure who's next.
We need to move into our beloved, amazing, global musical genius, Antoinette Root's daughter. I am a mother. Take a journey through music and images of the mother and move.
I am your local universe mother spirit. I am the feminine divine, the universe spirit, Shekinah, Shakti, creative Mother Spirit, the Divine Minister, and the Holy Spirit. I am the giver of the breath of life. I am omnipresent in this universe, and you actually live in me. I am a creative daughter of the infinite Mother Spirit. I am equal co-creator with your local universe creator Sun, and we have created you in our image. I am the spirit of Mother Earth and Mother Nature. I am the mystery of life, the vital energy spark, the essential factor of life plasm to the required revolutions of matter in accordance with the physical, chemical, and electrical specifications of your world. I am the cause of purposeful organic evolution and reproduction. I am the source of all life on your planet, vegetable, animal, and human. I am the inherent endowment of mammalian mother love, maternal instincts, and the bestower of mind, animal and human. I am personally maternal to all my children. I love you individually. I know you personally, and I understand you completely. I am the provider of the spirit of intuition, the spirit of understanding, the spirit of courage, the spirit of knowledge, the spirit of counsel, the spirit of worship, and the spirit of wisdom. I am the Holy Spirit, and I extend to you my fostering care and spiritual ministry as I work in harmony with the Spirit of Truth and your indwelling spirit, to lead you ultimately to the loving embrace of our Heavenly Father.
Now we see the divine image by Alex Gray, Ocean of Love. And with that, I invite everyone here on our ensemble cast to share their cosmic blessing. And then I will do a brief introduction because we didn't get that in the beginning, and let you know who our ensemble cast is. So Ben, I think you're first for a blessing.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you. May we live in the presence of the Cosmic Mother, aware of the divine love that surrounds us and imbues us all in every moment.
May you embody your cosmic nature.
May
Olivia?
we be open to loving signs and synchronicities pointing our way.
May the blessing of Mother Mary, Cosmic Madonna, and Mungo Lady, our Indigenous ancestor, share our blessings upon this moment as we gather together to help in our own way towards the new Earth rising.
Duncan?
May our co-creativity with the cosmic Madonna and all our relations shine forth the light of truth and love.
Anasuya. Anasuya.
May each and every one of us know beyond a shadow of a doubt how much we are so loved and so adored by our sacred Holy Mother. And may we walk in that truth, knowing that we are divine.
Victoria.
May the creativity of the cosmic Madonna flow through your being.
Okay.
Rian.
Thank you. It's not here.
Okay.
Left, yes. So I want to thank everyone who is here tonight and everyone across the globe who is taking this incredible journey with us. First of all, for your patience with the technical glitches while we ride the cosmic wave. The technical can't keep up with our cosmic vibration, so it sometimes interferes. So your patience as we journey is extremely welcome. We hope that we have given you pause for thought. And with that, I'd like to introduce very briefly our ensemble past. Their CVs are extremely long, very notable, honorable, and each and every one is gifting themselves to the building of this new earth. And Suya Isaacs serves as the mystic midwife, creating a brave space for people to rebirth themselves to sovereign wholeness and holiness. Brianna Eisler is a systems scientist, cultural historian, attorney, consultant, and speaker whose research has inspired scholars and social activists, showing how to construct a more equitable and less violent world based on partnership rather than domination. Our beautiful Victoria Friedman is a visionary artist and author and co-founder of Vistar View, a nonprofit organization dedicated to self-discovery, collective consciousness, and spontaneous creativity. Duncan Campbell hosts a unique fire-keeping living dialogues program of revelatory dialogues with fellow visionaries and change agents across the globe, connecting many diverse fields. On KGNU Public Radio and Internet, reaching a demographic of over 4 million. Dr. Olivia Cheever serves on the Sunray Council of Trustees and Peace Village Land Trust in Lincoln, Vermont, and on the fundraising and archives committees. She's been a Sunray Meditation Society practitioner since 1978, when she met its founder, the Venerable Bihani Wahu. And the inimitable Ben Bowler, as we all know and love, but for those of you who don't, he's the executive director of Unity Earth, which is one of the major hosts of this incredible Peace Week and many other unitive narratives and visionary media throughout the year. It's a global network building a worldwide movement of unity and peace. He's an experienced co-founder with a demonstrated history of working in nonprofit organizations and management as well. Joan Bowler is, yes, his mother, but in her own right, she has 6 children, 11 grandchildren in her early years working in nursing, midwifing, and maternal child health with underprivileged single mothers, women of high expectations. Through all the journeys that she shared with you tonight is our grandmother and mother and colleague and joyful participant in. She's ready for just about anything. So, and myself, I'm president and founder of Natural Network International, and I am a social alchemist and synergistic culture and business ecosystem designer dedicated to building new thrivable worlds and futures for all of us. I have no children, so I aim to be a worthy ancestor for those that come after me. And I'd like to make note of the videos that we showed throughout, the vessels video and the two vessels videos and slow dancing, which were produced by Colors in Motion. Our dear sister Linda DeHart, who has been on this journey with the Cosmic Madonna since she appeared on the Unity Earth Zoom in mid-April, and has helped push and craft us into moving forward when we were a bit hesitant. So she's been very involved in the development. She is a partner with Christopher Grape. They manage concept, direction, watercolors, and photography. When he does videography and compositing. They're multidisciplinary artists merging art forms and healing modalities designed to bring the viewer into a place of centered calm through the power of colors, emotion, and beauty. So we hope that you have enjoyed this journey and have taken a piece of it in your heart to move forward with when you're journeying forward in your life. The end.
Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth. Oh, come on home. Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth. We're coming home. Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth. Oh, come on home. Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth TV, Unity Earth. We're coming home. Let's close our time together with a moment of silence. Listening in to each other. Being present with each other. Feeling the unity in amongst our beautiful diversity. And let's face forward as we move on to our next engagement. Taking with us the essence of this experience so that it may live on. As we continue moving through life, creating new experiences and building on what we've done together today. Let's integrate what we've experienced with each other. Let's appreciate what's been created through our joint presence in the same space. Let's be grateful for each one of us and for ourselves and for this unique experience that we have shared. And let's take it forward into our lives and let the ripples of unity move outwards from us, touching those around us and those around them and those around them, traveling all the way around the planet. As we come to the end of our time together, let's integrate what we've experienced with each other. Let's appreciate what's been created through our joint presence in the same space. Let's be grateful for each one of us and for ourselves and for this unique experience that we have shared. And let's take it forward into our lives and let the ripples of unity move outwards from us, touching those around us and those around them and those around them, traveling all the way around the planet. You are invited to experience unity. It's time to put aside the differences that divide us. And embrace the beauty of each one of us being different, being unique, being ourselves. In the essence of who we truly are. A beautiful array of human beings across the planet. So many different ways of being human. So let us get to know each other. Let's spend time with each other. Let's learn from each other. And let's open our hearts to each other. And let's find the unity that exists right in the middle of the richness of our diversity. We are human. We are unique. We are one.
Welcome to World Peace Week 2023 and to our panel, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. And the antidote to fear and conflict is safety. You may wonder why I've kind of thought to bring together a panel on fear and safety. And how to really find peace. And it's been interesting for me over the years. Some of you who may know me from World Peace Network, been working on peace for 70 years in different organizations. And certainly since I was a teenager, having been brought up in a truly dysfunctional Southern Mediterranean family, I didn't know what it meant, to feel peace. And I started to meditate when I was in my teens. And over the years, I've I found ways to ground my being. And I've met many wonderful people who one could feel are grounded in peace. But I've also seen with myself how often I would lose that ground. And I would see how too many times individuals or groups would start off working on peace, being peaceful, but then just imploding or exploding. And so throughout my life, besides just doing my best to meditate as much as I could in order to find that ground, kept wondering, what's missing? One of the questions would be, what's wrong with me? But I learned to let go of that one. And then just ask, what is missing? And very fortunately, about 6 months ago, I bumped into a nervous system coach, health coach. Now you may wonder, what? We're talking about nervous systems here. And that's Suzanne, by the way, Suzanne Finder. And was kind of reacquainted with polyvagal theory, which was developed by Stephen Porges. And I had known a little bit about it, but obviously I knew nothing really. And through it, began to realize how much my biology and my neurology affects my ability to function, either, at peace or in any form, really. And that true peace goes way beyond any external, agreements or our mental state. It's entwined with our physiology and our biology and our sense of safety. And the more we understand this, the more and the clearer it becomes how foundational and important our nervous system is in creating and sustaining peace within. It's actually really seminal. And until we kind of get how we operate, in a sense, we need an operator's, manual for being humans. And no one ever handed one out to us. We just found a lot of dysfunctional ones, I might add. And so this is kind of the polyvagal theory, and what our wonderful guests will be sharing with you will give you the foundation for this so that you know where to begin, and how to then understand how seminal that our nervous system is and how it picks up on things. So that's why these are expert nervous system coaches. And it'd be a great kind of discipline to get out there to let people know exists, because it's really needed. So anyhow, what I'd like to do now is, I realize maybe I should have said my name. I assume everybody knows my name. My name is Yanni Maniad, and I happen to be the chair of the U.S. board of the Unity Earth. But what I'd like to do now is to introduce our three guests, and then begin with a question, and then just kind of let it flow. Okay. And so I'd like to first introduce Dr. Les Aria, who is a pain psychologist of over 20 years. He is the co-founder and the chief clinical officer of Mendel Health, a digital therapeutic platform for pain recovery. And he specializes in treating psychophysiological disorders, chronic pain, and medically unexplained conditions. His passion for mind-body interventions promotes a unique style to help patients relate differently to their suffering and thereby shifting them into pain recovery, wellness, and well-being. His current passion is assessing the combined clinical applications of the Safe Sound Protocol, which is something that Dr. Porges created and we'll probably hear more about, and the pain reprocessing therapy to promote pain recovery. And I'll just say, when Suzanne and I have had just discussions about what we're going to be doing today, what she probably knew this, but it came to me as a revelation. pain is basically a signal from the body or the psyche saying, I'm not safe. It's as simple as that. And all kinds of stuff, and stuff's a four-letter word that we experience in our lives and in our minds, is we don't feel safe. And anyhow, I got that finally. All right, thank you. It took how many decades. Anyhow, I'd like to now introduce, and again, Les will be, we'll move along and you'll get to know them, not from their bio, but from their essence when they start speaking. Next is Stephanie. Stephanie D'Angelo has a master's and is the head of organizational training at the Polyvagal Institute, and a facilitator and co-developer for the Polyvagal Informed Certificate for Organizations program. Boy, I know a lot of groups that could use this. And I'm a group, I'm a microbiome and a bunch of microbiomes that needs help that way too. Anyhow, she's passionate about community building. And in 2018, she founded the Mindfulness Community of New Jersey and continues to provide weekly polyvagal informed and trauma-informed programming online through a mobile app. Through her body of work, she has pioneered programs in Fortune 500 corporations and is trained as a trauma support specialist and to teach mindfulness, and accredited by the International Meditation Teachers Association, as well as a Yoga Alliance, continuing education, and is an experienced registered yoga teacher. So, she's covering a whole bunch of bases there, folks, herself. And, as we go along, they'll share with us a bit where you can get more information. We're not here just to be talking heads and give you theory. That's helpful because it can be the first step to lead you to action. But the idea here is, here's some theory and here's a way to apply it, personally, interpersonally, communally, organizationally, et cetera, however you want to kind of apply it. And last but not least at all, because Suzanne is how I found myself here. And one of these serendipitous things, you listen to a podcast and you go, oh, I'm not interested in what the guy who's talking in the podcast is. I'm interested in the person that's with him. And that's when I heard the word nervous system health coach. And I went, oh my goodness. I have a feeling I need a resonance with that. Okay. So Suzanne Finder is a nervous system health coach, interfaith minister, and spiritual counselor, a graduate of Boston University's Questrom School of Business and All Faith Seminary International, and has been in private practice for 15 years. She applies unique and highly effective multidisciplinary approaches to healing that include spirituality, that is the awakening to the awareness of the peace within, to polyvagal theory, which we will hear a lot more about as we get along, so I won't say much back here, and something called cell danger response, based on the research of Robert Naveau. And again, we'll hear more about that, and it's seminal in terms of helping people understand why they can't heal or why they can't find peace. So that's it. I'll now zip my lip and allow the experts to speak, but I will unzip it occasionally. I'd like to begin by just asking Les, how do you see your nervous system related to creating peace internally, interpersonally, communally, organizationally?
That's a very complex question, and I'll do my best as we dialogue about this. What most people don't know, or at least I did not quite know until I studied the polyvagal theory and really put it into practice, is that our faces is basically the window into our nervous system. Our tone of voice is also another side door into the nervous system. And how the nervous system relates to peace or even love and joy, for that matter, a sense of tranquility, is that when we don't feel safe, when we don't feel a sense of connection or love within, it is often transmitted to another nervous system, sort of like an email, but at an unconscious level. And if I came on this morning speaking really fast and maybe frowning and very terse with my responses, that's the window that everyone would get is, I don't think this fellow's peaceful. And it's not a judgment, it's an awareness. And so the nervous system is really sort of a newspaper you walk around with. And it really is truly a portal into how peaceful someone is. The tone of voice, the pace, the word choices. And it's really a great clue, because when I'm feeling safest, you'll see me smile and laugh, giggle a lot. And when I'm feeling safe, another person next to me will probably pick up the contagion of my smile or my goofiness. And that's how you really know that the nervous system is really communicating something. And it really starts there, as simple as it is. Yet it's more complex than what I just said. But it's the window to peace is what you see. And often I'll just add this, and sometimes we don't see things as they are. Sometimes we see things as we are. And what that basically means is, when we're not peaceful, the world is irritating and unsafe, perhaps. And yet when I'm feeling safe and with my thoughts, my emotions, my physical sensations,
Welcome to World Peace Week 2023 and to our panel, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. And the antidote to fear and conflict is safety. You may wonder why I've kind of thought to bring together a panel on fear and safety.
Of meditation, which has brought me up to the point where when I meditate, the anxiety comes up. Is it okay to feel okay? Can I welcome the unwelcomed thoughts and emotions and sensations? And the first human reaction I have is no. How do I get rid of it? And then the dance begins. And so when I realize when we're trying to feel safe, I always think of a dojo, if that makes any sense, where you train martial arts, but in my mind, it's a compassion art. And where you open up the dojo at the front door and the thought comes in and the thought swirls around. The wind in your head swirls around, and your body, you get worked up. And then I walk to the back of my mind and open up the other sliding door, and I let thoughts come and go as they are. And I think sometimes when we don't have skill sets or understanding of how we are and how we operate, it becomes a scary thing. And it's a search for the endless pursuit of how do I find peace, when actually peace actually begins within us.
Part of, I think, our culturalization, I know I'm not saying that properly, is we're always comparing. Right? So am I better than? Am I less than? Why do we compare? Because we want to fit in. We want to feel, ultimately, we want to feel belonging. But
Sure. I think that when we think about our nervous system, and it's such a big part of it, the co-regulation, the contagion that Les was talking about, and that can go either way, right? It can go to the contagion of conveying peace or conveying my inner world to someone else, whether it's positive or negative, right?
Right.
One thing that I think is a very, very crucial point about this nervous system, we could call regulation or peace, we could call that, is the dialogue, the connection between me and me. So the commentary that we hear, I feel like, is one of the most important things. And it was for me in my journey of learning about how my own inner dialogue was creating my dysregulation or activation, or feeling a sense of not feeling peace, not being able to attain it, wanting it. But what was creating that kind of rift in wanting it and having it was this kind of inner dialogue that was not peaceful. And so for me, self-compassion and trying to learn how to accept what that was. And then that's, to me, the foundational part of understanding the way your nervous system is working, because the environment is taking a huge, your nervous system is absolutely genius, getting all the environmental cues. And we look at those and we're like, yes, of course, I don't feel peace because my boss, or because my organization I work in, or the politics of society, or the things that are going on. And really the foundational piece is that me and me, or that relationship to higher power. It would be that. So I think that that's the foundational piece, is that inner dialogue, having self-compassion for that, and then creating a sense of peace that way, acceptance. And then that's the way that I approach everything. How my relationships go depend on this, me and me, how my organizational, even the work, Les and I have done work in organizations. We spend a lot of time helping people connect to their individual nervous system. What's going on here? What's my state? It's first question we'll ask ourselves, what's your state? And in polyvagal theory, there are 3 main states, and that's ventral vagal and sympathetic and dorsal vagal. And those are fancy words for being, I'm okay, I'm mobilized, or I'm immobilized. And we have lots of different ways and languages to make that in each organization. They can figure out their own. But finding out what your state is and knowing what it is, and then knowing how to proceed from there. And that is the journey of peace that maybe we never quite get to, peace forever. It's peace in the moment. The nervous system is moving up and down through states and hybrid states all the time, throughout the day, depending on what's happening out externally between us and what's happening between me and me. So yes, it was a complex question. I don't know if that was clearer than mud or not.
Well, no mud, no lotus, but
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's great.
But it wasn't mud. It was the lotus part of the whole metaphor. And I just want to say, before I have you in there, Suzanne, I'd love to hear more about, again, how one does that, an individual does that, and let Suzanne speak, and both you and Les and she can address that, so that again people have a little more rootedness, how they can kind of find their way back home once they've fallen off the cliff. Okay, Suzanne.
So I'm going to use a little story or an analogy. Have you ever been to a party where someone is just the light of the party and everyone wants to gather around them? They have this sense of peace and joy, and they're just fun to be around. And there's something that happens within you when you're near them that lights you up. I think that's so much of a part of what both Les and Stephanie are saying. We want to be with those people who have access to peace, who can be really present. And we want to feel that feeling. So when we think of, I want to be part of a peace movement, it always needs to start with us, because everything we are experiencing, as Les is saying, and Stephanie as well, we're all using just different words. This is a really complex, prismatic sort of a thing. What's happening is we are taking our past experience, which essentially lives in our nervous system, and using that to filter our present experience in the moment. So in my personal practice and what I do with clients is keep practicing looking at how the past is getting in the way of the present. Looking at how we can clear out what has held us back in the past, which in my experience and in my practice, which goes a lot, as these guys know, about A Course in Miracles, relates to removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Because love's presence is really what we're wanting and what's already within us. But our past, from experiences that have been overwhelming, some people use the word traumatizing, some people use the word chronically disconnecting, where we don't feel safe. We want to look at those experiences within ourselves and look to see how those experiences may have colored everything up until this moment. But we now have a choice to go, oh, that was appropriate at that time, but that was never the truth of who I am, because I am love, I am peace. So it's an ongoing mindfulness practice and an awareness that we can forgive ourselves so that we can connect with others and they can connect with us. And in that we find peace. We find peace. Let's get back to the party, right? We're finding peace and joy in hanging out with people that are grounded and peaceful and are having fun. We don't feel attacked. We feel this word that I love is agency. We feel a sense of who we are. Yes, this is great. I have control over what I want to say, as opposed to when I feel like I'm under threat, I feel defensive. Lots of things happen physiologically, and I want you guys to, I'm kind of all over the place, but we need to recognize that the physiology of the body is very much directing our behavior and directing our psychology, what we're thinking or what we're feeling in that moment. Everything is interconnected. Les shared with me a phrase, something that Dr. Porges said, and I'm not going to mangle it, Les. I'm going to let you go back to it. But it was something like our physiology expresses through our behavior, expresses through our psychology. Yes, it's bidirectional, but more so, our neurology is driving how we experience the world. So if we want to experience peace within ourselves, and it always starts within, from that, we can then share that peace with others, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's in a room at a party, or whether it's in a community, or whether it's globally. This idea of I'm safe, I have agency, and I'm curious, what's happening with you? What's going on that you're not feeling safe? What do we need to move everyone into safety? Because to me, safety comes first. For us to communicate, for us to find common ground. And I do believe that every single person at their core wants to feel this sense of safety, wants to feel this sense of peace and understanding, wants to know that they can be witnessed without judgment. And that's another aspect of this coming to peace. We cannot find peace if we're judging each other. Now, why would we judge someone else? Here's why. Because we're judging ourselves. This is getting directly back to what Stephanie is saying. So this is a really complex issue, and it starts with, I believe, understanding our neurology so that we can untangle all of this and learn how to work with our neurology, work with our biology move ourselves into safety so that we can express that to others, and through that find peace in community, in relationship.
I feel like saying amen after that.
Well, I will say that every time I'm with Les and Stephanie and so many of the other folks in the polyvagal community, I'm always learning something new. And it's always so exciting to me.
Yes, I wanted to comment on something you said about safety. I think that's right. A lot, including myself, I'll throw myself in there. It's sometimes one of the reasons why we're not feeling peace, love, joy. It's because it's not safe to feel safe. And it sounds weird if you actually say it out loud. It's not safe to feel safe. What does that mean? I don't know if anyone grew up in a household where you were not allowed to actually express your true emotions. Right. Now they call it child abuse, but back then, a tree branch came out or a spanking came out. And if you were causing a ruckus, or one of the famous lines was, "I'll give you something to cry about." And so you quickly suppress that. So therefore, then we enter into relationships and with self, and we realize that we have to put on a persona that satisfies the culture, the needs of other people as opposed to us. And so when I say it's not safe to feel safe, because to be able to work towards the path of peace, it requires you to feel safe with whatever shows up within us. Mm-hmm. And most of us, and I wish we'd do this, and I think the Polyvagal Institute is doing this now, is getting into schools and organization, and Stephanie knows a lot about this, is that we need to start training little ones that it's okay to feel what you got to feel. And there are healthy ways to express it. And so, Suzanne, when you were speaking, I was just triggered by that safe word that absolutely it is we all want to be, to feel this felt sense of peace. I want that. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out. Like, how do I get that? And a glazed donut to go. And, how do we get that? And so what we do is we try to personify someone, or we try to find happiness and peace. When in actuality, it all begins, like you said, within us. And so I just wanted the audience to know that sometimes no matter how many books you read and how much meditation you have, and I love meditation, which has brought me up to the point where when I meditate, the anxiety comes up. Is it okay to feel okay? Can I welcome the unwelcomed thoughts and emotions and sensations? And the first human reaction I have is no. How do I get rid of it? And then the dance begins. And so when I realize when we're trying to feel safe, I always think of a dojo, if that makes any sense, where you train martial arts. But in my mind, it's a compassion art. And where you open up the dojo at the front door and the thought comes in and the thought swirls around. The wind in your head swirls around, in your body, you get worked up. And then I walk to the back of my mind and open up the other sliding door, and I let thoughts come and go as they are. And I think sometimes when we don't have skill sets or understanding of how we are and how we operate, it becomes a scary thing. And it's a search for the endless pursuit of how do I find peace when actually peace actually begins within us.
Part of, I think, our culturalization, I know I'm not saying that properly, is we're always comparing. Right? So am I better than? Am I less than? Why do we compare? Because we want to fit in. We want to feel, ultimately, we want to feel belonging. But because of the early training where we weren't accepted for what was happening with us much of the time, we didn't have someone, Stephanie used the word co-regulate, who could co-regulate with peace and love and say, it's okay. I know for me, I have a lot of early childhood adversities, we'll call them, a lot of loss, and no one to go to to feel safe, no one to go to calm my anxiety around, am I okay? Am I okay without a mother? Ultimately, am I okay being taken care of by someone who isn't my parent? A vast disconnection. So my quest as an adult is to connect with something inside of me that has always been safe. But because I didn't have the modeling of the safe adult, the safe parent, I need to find that within me that was always the safe parent. And that's been my practice, and it continues to be my practice, because ultimately I would love to stay in the place where whenever stuff out there comes up, I know that I'm okay, no matter what happens. And that's, gosh, it's a lifelong practice. It's not just, oh, let's get into safety and be happy and, bounce around. It is an ever-changing environment out there. Nothing could steal my peace unless there was something within me that came from my past that said, you're not okay. And I think that, Steffi and I have had this conversation about bringing spirituality and bringing religion into this conversation. And I'm not religious, despite the fact that I'm an interfaith minister. I would say I'm on a spiritual path, but I believe the human known as Jesus. And by the way, I grew up in a Jewish home, so this is a really interesting thing for me to say. I believe that he had mastered his autonomic nervous system so that he could convey peace wherever he went. No matter what was happening outside, he knew who he was. He connected with that inner parent. Some of us might call that God. Some of us might call that Holy Spirit. Some of us might call that higher self, the universe. It doesn't really matter what that is. But there are practices where we can keep coming back to that place and looking at all those things that say, I'm not okay, and then seeing it through the eyes of that loving parent and dispelling that sense of threat. So always coming back, having one foot in safety, no matter what turbulence might be going on around. I think that's, as we cultivate that, that's how we cultivate peace in our communities and bring it out.
I think that I think that when you mention agency, it makes me think of the foundational stability that's necessary in all of the practices that we'll do when we're training people. We teach this kind of foundational stability. And Suzanne, it really does have to do with that inner parenting. Deb Dana might call it to befriend your nervous system. And it's about being stable physically first. Maybe that's the door that we go through. And I would basically show people how to, look at how the walls are holding up the ceiling. Feel how the floor, because for some people with adversity, going right to the body wouldn't be something that would be something they would have access to, or might not if they're not trained in mindfulness, like Les was talking about, that learning how to let thoughts go and the distractions that are happening. Learning mindfulness over a long period of time, you learn that the distractions are the practice, that the things that are coming in to take away your peace, that is the practice. But that's a little bit further along the road. How can we kind of have this access when we're just here in our physical bodies? We can look at the ceiling. If you're a first responder, you can feel your feet on the ground. You can envision, look at someone across the room and find yourself right here now. Like Suzanne was saying, only healing only can happen in this moment. Only being able to really have agency in the moment, 100% online. I'm completely online when I'm here in the moment. And so many of us don't spend time in the moment because there are so many things that are taking us. The chunking, the way our brain chunks past experiences and says, this is like this. Maybe we don't trust Les because he's too happy, he's too smiley, he's too funny. And I might misread that. My nervous system might misread that. And so that's something that's going on in front of me because of that chunking in my brain that says, well, one time, I met somebody who was so wonderful and gregarious and they betrayed me or something. So we have all these things that are taking our agency away or leaving us with no access to that agency, but finding a physical moment where we can look at the ceiling and the wall and feel the floor. And that's just one way we can physically kind of get our agency back in the moment. Let's get everything up online, and then we can do these kind of things like mindfulness practices and other more they really are more advanced practices because they really require a practice of thought. But press your feet into the floor. Can you feel that there is something on the floor that is stable and holding you? And so these types of things are all leading to what Les and Suzanne are saying about this agency and being present and disentangling the past and coming, that comes into our now, so. Anyway,
very helpful. I just wanted to say, for the audience that the key to working with others is asking yourself first, am I present? And that doesn't really mean much to a lot of people sometimes. It's like, huh? What in the world? Well, where am I? I don't know. Of course I'm present. I have no idea what's really going on in there. But I'll just make two comments and then I think Les wanted to say something or whatever, that I found for myself that I didn't know where a place of peace was. I didn't have that experience. And only in deep meditation would I experience it. But then I came into 3D again, and 3D said to me that wasn't real. And so I go back to what I experienced as real. Those kind of, so I could bounce, literally be in a unit of bliss experience and then the next minute freaking out. So I really appreciate this. Just there's a wall, there's a ceiling, and they're all kind of like performing a function so I don't get squished at the moment at the two stories above me. And like, wow, that's pretty cool. I think maybe I want to put my attention on that. And the thing I wanted to add here and to bring this into organizations is as we work with each other, and I'm speaking to my colleagues, well, you are, but the broader group, it's find that presence first, then bring up the idea, the project, the whatever, tune in on where you are first. And I'd like more help with that, for the group, for the audience. And then by tuning into where you are and trying to be as present as one can be, then also just noticing, I think Suzanne and Les, who, everybody's the same here, or whatever, one big voice, how present or not is the person there? Could they possibly even receive you at this moment? And where is the starting point in this moment with where you are and with where they are? So any more help with all that, other than, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify this idea of presence, because that's a really tricky one. So presence in our context is really talking about being judgment-free. But I can be present to, when I'm angry, I can be present to my anger. When I'm anxious, I'm present to my anxiety. When I'm, so this idea of presence is, what are we going to focus on? Are we going to focus on being aware of our own sensations? and allowing ourselves to discharge them in a certain way. I mean, it's presence is another one of those really complicated, challenging ideas. So I'd love to hear what some of my colleagues have to say.
Yeah,
I'm getting smiles.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was reflecting on what you said because I think it's a very important thing. How about we not talk but do something? I think that'd be kind of fun. That. So sometimes words complicate things, or at least I know I complicate things. But I'm wondering whether we can do something kind of fun, kind of piggybacking on what Suzanne and what Stephanie just mentioned. Could everyone, just the audience, do this for the fun of it? And my good friends here on the panel. Just follow along here. I love what Stephanie said. Sometimes we're looking for, I have to agree that mindfulness is a practice, and mindfulness, as I like to say, is sometimes when you're on the cushion of the meditation and off the cushion. And when I'm off the cushion of meditation, like Stephanie said, I find the wall or I find my feet. But I found something very practical when I work with a lot of patients with trauma or physical pain. Grab your thumb, and you can, I'm going to have my hands up so you guys can see. You can drop your hands down by your waist side. And this is just for the audience to see. Is take a breath in, and as you breathe in, just gently squeeze your thumb and feel your thumb as you breathe in. Then pause your breath at the top of it. And as you breathe out, release the attention to the thumb and pay attention to the body. So we're going to pendulate between feeling the squeeze as you breathe in, and as you release your breath, bring your attention back to your body. Let's just do it one more time. Breathing in, squeeze the thumb, pause. And as you breathe out, bring your attention to your body. Good, done. And sometimes it takes something that simple to come to the present moment. And it doesn't matter what thoughts we have or what emotions we're experiencing or sensations showing up. Sometimes we have to get into the driver's seat of the mind or the brain or the body. It's whatever term we want to use. Because if we don't step in, the autonomic nervous system steps in. And that's the beauty of this. And sometimes, as we had mentioned, Deb Dana, who is a phenomenal speaker and artist of delivering the polyvagal theory, just like Stephanie here, is that I think one of the most important things is we need to learn to, as I call it, reparent our nervous system in the sense that take leadership. Take leadership with the sense of, think of the healthiest parents we would love to have had, but we do have them inside of us. So where I'm now the most compassionate, and by the way, to myself, and I want to share this to the audience and Suzanne and Yanni and to Stephanie, you guys might laugh at this. Every year I have a group I teach about how to find that sense of peace, love, and joy. And at the end of December, I usually tell them to do this at a sheet of paper, just like a binder sheet of paper. And they write something, they put it in their wallet or their purse or wherever they tend to pull out money. And the sentence goes something like this: in this household, there shall be no self-abuse. And they fold it, and every time they pull out the debit card, they see that sentence. Because in my household and physical household and mind and body and spirit household, there is no self-abuse. And when the moment we catch the self-abuse of, doggone it, Les, what the heck's the matter with you? In that moment, the abuse is starting, the verbal abuse. And so at that point, the most compassionate part of me comes out and says, I know you're trying to help me, and I appreciate it. But honey, right now, that's not helpful. And I do something physical, just like what Stephanie said. As simple as it is I simply find an object in the present moment, a color of something, or the scent of something, or when I'm on a walk. I did not know how many birds are around me until I actually close my eyes and listen with my ears and my heart. I can often hear more than 3 birds chirping that I ignored.
Brandon. You've said it all. Thank you.
It's really beautiful.
Stephanie, when I was looking at you, I was in that breath with you. And this is exactly what you were saying to the audience about co-regulation, is when we don't feel safe to be able to connect with something or someone, including my pet chocolate lab, Bentley. And so I was looking at you and Suzanne and Yanni, and everything was slowing down. And in that moment, it was the most intriguing thing. I just looked as I opened my eyes and connected with you guys. I felt a sense of stillness, if that's a sense of peace. When I looked over at all of you, it was this sense I was smiling on the inside that how wonderful we just paused to not just talk. I loved it. What a great experience. Thank you.
We could feel that too, for sure. All of a sudden we were in it and I could hear the sound of the fan very loudly all of a sudden in the room that I'm in. And I took my hand so part of mine is to take my hand and to give that a little bit of extra care. It's like I'm here. And that back brain doesn't know that someone else isn't saying, it's okay, you're good, it's okay. And you really help just kind of bring us into that. And I really appreciate that. And for people that want to know, well, how do we get that? We want what Les has. How do we get that? Just the way that you did that, you took the sounds in the environment and you're like, oh, those are the birds I never hear. And just keying into one of those sense doors or all 5 can do that for us. And then our own touch, our own care, our own release of oxytocin, the care, the mammalian caregiving reflex responses. And we can flood the brain really with chemicals, that oxytocin that makes us feel loved and peaceful, and a bonding chemical. And that's that me and me. And I'm saying, yeah, I'm here. I'm with you all, which has been an amazing thing about COVID, is that we could do this kind of co-regulation on video. I don't think that I knew it really could be done before, but it can be. And then this reparenting and just being present. And then all of a sudden, I can hear everything that's happening in my environment, and something physiologically changes. And we're in that state together. And it really does feel like peace, like a wash of peace. Really something definitely to investigate if you haven't done that. And to continue to practice, for sure. Thanks, Les, for that. That was beautiful.
I know I'm going to ask for more words, and I apologize. But if they can be kind of on this canvas of silence, if we can hear what comes next, remembering the silence and having that as the canvas that we hear it off of. I found it really helpful to understand what this whole mammalian inheritance is, shifting from the reptilian, separation, defensiveness, to the potential mammalian cooperation involved, and perhaps framed in the context of, it is, I think, the biological imperative and the evolutionary imperative of what our potential is. And even, on the background of the silence, of the heart listening rather than the head, kind of a framing of this shift, and again, I'm being obscure because I read one of you share that shift, as Stephen Porges explained so well, from the reptilian to the mammalian to its full potential. So any of you would like to share that, I'd appreciate hearing that.
You know, I think Stephanie and I, when we've worked together, one of the things we teach people, organizations, is that there's a principle in the polyvagal theory, and I just wanted to framework that for us first. I wanted to talk about neuroception, which goes back to what you're saying. What is the polyvagal theory, really? What is it? And Stephanie did it so beautifully, and she does it very eloquently. And I have a simpler version of it. It's that I've come to understand that when I understand why I think the way I do, why do I feel the way I do, and why do I do what I do without judgment, when I realize the reason I'm terse, the reason I'm impatient, the reason I'm feeling anxious is because your nervous system says me no safe. So the polyvagal is a beautiful framework to understand the neuropsychophysiology of why we do what we do and why we think the way we think. And as to tie in what you said, Suzanne, is that, and I stole this from Stephen Porges, and I've told him this, truth be told, that I've made it so much my own, people think it's me and it's not. It's Dr. Stephen Porges came up with it. So credit goes to him. Shift your physiology, shift your physiological states, and you'll shift your psychological states. And when you shift your psychological states, you will shift your physiological states. And around we go. And so whenever I'm walking my dog, Bentley's my chocolate lab, he is a great dog, great companion, smells like a puppy. He's 3 years old. And as I'm strolling down, taking our morning walks, we walk about 3 times a day, and it doesn't fail for me to get upset easily from the state of peace, even after a meditation and walking Bentley, feeling the air, I'm feeling this peace, this presence, and all of a sudden he loves squirrels. So what happens is he yanks my hand. So what's this got to do with peace and the polyvagal? What's really interesting is I want peace. And sometimes I get upset because I don't have peace. And when Bentley pulls me and he chases the next squirrel up the tree and he's trying to get up there. And then I hear my tone of voice, Bentley, in this terse voice. And the moment I hear myself, in that moment, I know I'm no longer in a state of safety. And I know exactly I'm now mobilized, which is what we call that when we are feeling fight or flight, stress, my words come through that nervous system of being fight or flight, stress response. And so when I recognize I'm in that physiological state of defense, to shift my psychology, to come back to that sense, I want that peace, is I intentionally slow my breath down. I intentionally tap him on the body. I sometimes do what Stephanie does. I simply do this, like a little kid who just got worked up, a 5-year-old. And in that moment, I'm shifting myself up physiologically from a state of mobilization, fight or flight, into a state as, it's okay, it's all right. That's his biological imperative, to chase squirrels. And so in that moment, the polyvagal theory really just helps me understand that I'm human and I shift in physiological states. As much as I want to be peaceful, I'm no longer feeling like an imposter where I have to be peaceful and I have to be this person that everyone tells me, oh, you're a psychologist, you get upset. And so it's the funniest comment I get. So in that sense, the polyvagal theory really helps us understand to be able to get to a state of peace, you actually have to understand and be, as Deb Dana would say, and Stephanie said this too, is you have to be the operator. You have to understand how this operates within you. Not to judge, but to be grateful to the fact that we have a wonderful system within us that helps us navigate our day-to-day moments. And if you kind of know why you feel the way you feel or think the way you think, it's because the nervous system is constantly scanning, and that's neuroception. Neuroception is one of the principles that says the brain, the nervous system is constantly scanning inside of you, outside of you, and whomever's in between you, those 3 domains. And it's constantly asking one thing, and it's a beautiful thing. Am I safe or not? Am I safe or not? It's constantly asking that question. And when we react to something difficult, it shifts our physiology, which is the hierarchy of the nervous system. Safe, I call it stress, or scared, shut down. Stress, safe, stress, or shut down. And in that hierarchy, if we know where we are, I then understand that this is why I'm not feeling peace. It's because I'm reacting to something around me, even though I don't want to react. I don't have choice. And in that sense, it goes back to what Stephanie said. Besides neuroception and the hierarchy of the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, the co-regulation. And so the polyvagal theory basically explains this in different principles. It says, it's okay to be who you are. Do you know where you are in your nervous system? Stephanie, I'm not actually going to add to that because, the co-regulation part, and we talked about the self-regulation part of those principles. It's complex, but I think it's real important that for us to be able to go, it's okay not to know, it's okay not to feel peace, but do you know why you're not feeling peace?
Yeah, and on the co-regulation part, I think a very important piece to understand about that is this mammalian caregiving piece of it. It's the cranial nerves that are, as Les was saying, are the window to our peace, to our soul, to our nervous system. Really, our facial expressions and our tiny little lines around the eyes. And when we hold a baby, they are basically learning from us how to regulate themselves. Mom is saying in a beautiful voice, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And we're teaching these young mammals, our babies, how to regulate themselves. They learn that through co-regulation. And this is why co-regulation is such a huge part of the human experience, because we are learning that as infants. And when there's interruptions in co-regulation, we see attachment problems. And I'm not a therapist, but, lots of issues can happen through that. So that's why when Suzanne was talking about parenting yourself, when we can say it's okay, or we can, have that internal dialogue that it's okay, the same one we might get as we were soothed or not soothed as children, but we should learn. And even Les said it too, like to soothe ourselves. Am I like a 5-year-old? Like I'm going to give myself those cues of regulation. And so co-regulation becomes so important and a huge part of polyvagal theory that we are really wired for connection. And as mammals, this is the most the evolution part of our nervous system is now we're wired for this ventral vagal co-regulation. This is the way our nervous system is, which is why we seek out people when we have a problem. We want to talk to somebody. We want to be in community. If you look at the blue zones, the people who live the longest in the world, they have social groups. And they have, these are people living to be over 100 years old. They are in their families. They're not in separate homes. They are with other people who are living together in a community. This is why community building is so important, and why it's a passion of mine, because co-regulation is the way that we can bring ourselves back into that ventral vagal state. If you have ever had a time in your life where maybe you felt very down or you felt very introspective. So here's the thing, you might not be down, but you might be a very introspective person. Maybe you're not very outgoing, but at times feel like you want to make connections and it might be challenging for you. So polyvagal theory would say defensive states like dorsal vagal collapse, that would be like kind of the opposite of where I feel like I could call Les and say, hey, let's have a chat. If I feel very introspective and I feel like I can't call somebody, I might need to get myself, do something regulating for myself, be kind, say some kind words, take a shower, take a walk, listen to birds, and then I might be able to make that call or email Suzanne and say, hey, it's time for a chat. So this co-regulation is a very important mammalian feature. And if you don't feel like you're very much into co-regulation, let's not ever look at it as like normal or not normal. We'll say, I have some very introverted children who are the opposite of me. And they have their own regulated way of being, recharging on their own. But then when they get to a point, then they can make those connections as they would. So not to make any like broad statements of how you should be. I think that connection with yourself is probably the most important, but the in-between, that co-regulation and with the greater world, it's just a huge part of those features of being human.
I would describe that our learning to co-regulate, or the learning from co-regulation with a safe person, teaches us how to co-regulate with our higher self.
Yeah.
And we can go to that self when other people aren't around. And we can go to that self so we don't to have that feedback loop of judgment, which continues to mess with the physiology of our cells. And we can go to that higher self for soothing when we're on our own, when we're by ourselves for that moment. I've been studying a lot about human evolution of late, and 95% of our evolution as humans on the planet, we were living in small villages, 35, 40 people, where everyone was equal. They had different roles, but everyone was a tight part of that community, where they knew they had each other no matter what was going on. And we in our culture, we don't have that. So the community building, the peace building, the learning how to feel safe in oneself in order to have that yummy connection that the four of us just had. So much a part of bringing peace into the world is starting really small and then moving it outward.
I came across a quote that I keep feeling I want to send to Suzanne. I keep forgetting, but it's by a Greenland indigenous elder, and she wrote, "Individualism is the cage of humanity." Individualism is the cave of humanity. And what we're, in terms of our evolution, we need to unbecome individuals. And that gets pretty radical, and you've got to put it in context because, we all, we're both and, so to speak, we're not, whatever. And the thing I want to kind of just throw in for the audience that I know, because this was significant to me, and just to state it in these terms I'm about to state it, is that the reptilian brain did not know how to co-regulate, how to go into okayness, and also did not know how to come together with another. It didn't have that ability, or very minimally. And then in the process of evolution, through a variety of jaw things and ear things and all kinds of stuff that went on from a physiological point of view, the mammal appeared that then began to learn from sound, what they heard, prosody, and what they, an affect of a person, that they can trust, the baboon on the other side of the road, whatever, other side of the forest, and they might mate, or they might come together in community and then create further safety for themselves. And so that's within us really highly evolved frontal cortex types. I'm being a little, whatever. But we do, this is the gift of the conscious evolution that we can move toward. When we recognize this dynamic and how important the things that the three of you have been teaching us to tap into and then to come from, and then to learn to be with, and then to become more. So that 1 + 1 no longer equals 2, it equals a new 1. And that's evolution. So anyhow, for my friendly folks in the World Peace Movement, in the peace movement, and so they're going to say, yeah, right, Manny, yeah, you got it. Anyhow, but this foundation, I think, is so important. But thank you for framing all you have, and play off of that, or whatever you want to say now. Whoever may want to add some here. How can we deepen this even more?
We could talk about one of the processes that brought all 4 of us together. We could talk about the safe and sound protocol that Dr. Stephen Porges developed as a result of his 40 years of research in the autonomic nervous system. And I absolutely love the safe and sound protocol. It made a huge difference in my personal life, from a health standpoint, as well as from an emotional standpoint. I look at the safe and sound protocol, which is an auditory protocol. What does that mean? It means we're listening to music that has been embedded with frequencies that replicate this prosody, this beautiful vocalization of a mother's lullaby. We don't recognize it necessarily because it's embedded in music. It might be classical music, it might be 60s, 70s, and 80s, Disney music, whatever. But it does a couple of things. It stimulates the vagus nerve to move into ventral, to move into safety. But what I find super cool about it is it changes a unique aspect of our physiology. This tiny little middle ear muscle, it's the smallest muscle in the body, in the human body, called the stapedius. And when we've had chronic stress or trauma, unresolved trauma, the body will make adjustments to try to keep us safe, to keep us on the alert for potential danger. And so what the role of the stapedius is a filter. So when it's turned on, it looks sort of like a seed. It's kind of have a seed shape. I don't know if you see my hands. It's kind of a little bit rounded, and it hangs out in the middle ear. And when we've had trauma, when we've had that chronic disconnection, it will flatten. And the flattening will render it so that the nervous system is hearing frequencies that are threatening to the human and to the mammal. And it keeps us more on edge, keeps us more attuned to the possibility of threat. And what the safe and sound protocol does is it reshapes that muscle. And that puts the filter back to the on switch, if you will, making it active to give us some breath, some space to be able to be with what's going on, where we're not constantly bombarded by the sense of something's wrong. I don't know what it is. And I see that as the beginning for in my practice anyway, as a really helpful beginning of the journey to help settle the nervous system so that we can do the deeper work, so that we can do these practices and have awareness. Oh my gosh, I'm following a squirrel up a tree, right? We can finally go, oh wow, I'm following, without it, our nervous system just goes whoosh and takes us off on the squirrel trip. So I have found that remarkably helpful. I know, Yanni, you've been through that process. I know both of you have as well, Les and Stephanie. And Les, I think you've provided over 1,000 patients with the SSP. Is that still accurate? You're probably over that by now. That was last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I think the Safe and Sound Protocol, as its trademark name is, It's basically a great intervention. It's a great conduit to the portal of compassion and peace. Sometimes we all need a little helping hand. I think sometimes we have good intentions of wanting to be peaceful and seeking peace and just all those synonyms. And it's no matter how hard we try, sometimes our circumstances within us, around us, whomever's between us, as I mentioned, is just not permitting it. And one of the things goes back to what Stephanie said in the beginning about, learn to self-regulate and not just, co-regulate and self-regulate. The Safe and Sound Protocol is a great instrument to shift your physiological states. And here we go again. The sentence from Porges that I've made my own is when we shift the physiological states through the Safe and Sound Protocol, the SSP, it shifts your psychological states. And that's when we can sense that we have a breathing room. We have that sense of it's not so bad. It's really amazing that what your mind says, and if I could use that term, it's loosely defined, is that there's a part of us that shows up. And when we can actually downregulate our nervous system, the physiological states of defense, fight or flight, or even just feeling kind of shut down for that matter, when we can actually just regulate our autonomic nervous system, that psychology in us shows up. And it really is a conduit to, as Porges would say, it is nearly impossible to have compassion until you shift your physiology. And we could have a smile on our face, and we could have, the kindest words. However, we're screaming on the inside. And he says, you really find we can kind of fake the compassion, but true compassion comes when we are feeling at peace with whatever is inside of us or around us. And when we can shift our physiology, and the Safe and Sound Protocol does that, it sort of retunes the autonomic nervous system that's stuck in a state of defenses into states of safety, as you said. And that's when I have this visual when Porges was talking about when you finally shift your physiology, whether with the Safe and Sound Protocol or with practices, as Yanni and Stephanie had mentioned about, when we can actually shift our physiology, that portal, it's almost like if you guys have watched Star Trek, a beam of light opens and shows up, and you can actually walk through the walls. And that's what we all want to walk through, those walls of peace and to get across the other side. But peace is actually right here. It's not somewhere else. And I think the Safe and Sound Protocol gives us the conduit to shift our physiology so we can start to feel this thing called peace. So, yeah, absolutely in agreement with you on that.
Thank you. Stephanie, do you have anything you'd like to comment about?
Yes. So I'm not an SSP provider. I'm actually just really learning more about the SSP, and I do think it's an excellent door to bring a change in the defensive strategies of the body, and we'll call that like sympathetic or dorsal vagal. And we use these language, we throw this around as though everyone knows what it is, but let's say we mean overwhelm. Either that fight or flight, like Les was saying, or that sense of overwhelm. And if you're have an opportunity to try the SSP, I know that I am going to try it. But there are also other things that you can do, which are like gargling or using ice. You can put ice on your face or do a cold shower or put ice on your cold water on your wrists, things like that help to regulate the vagus nerve, because it really innervates from the back of the brainstem through the larynx and pharynx. So that's why the voice becomes so important. And I created a program, Polyvagal Informed Embodied Mindfulness, that doesn't just use mindfulness, it uses the body and where the vagus nerve innervates to try to activate and use movement and the diaphragm. One of the best ways you can do it is, like Les was talking about, is to take a breath. Actually, the best kind of intervention is to work with your breath, with the vagus nerve, And we're talking about the autonomic nervous system. And you know how everyone says, oh, take a deep breath. Well, it really is. And humans are the only ones that can intervene on that autonomic nervous system. We can make changes by controlling the breath. There's lots of voluntary controlled breath studies about this that help to activate the parasympathetic nervous system to bring calm into a system that's stressed. So we can use breath, we can use movement, we can use singing, chanting, humming, ice. There's so many things that we can use that can help our autonomic nervous system. And the SSP is another. And there will be more, I'm sure, coming out. There are other types of vagal nerve stimulators for medical problems like dysautonomia and problems with the heart. So it's a fascinating field, and it's young and it's growing, and there's going to be so much more information coming out. And you can definitely find out more about that at polyvagal.org if you're interested.
Thank you, Stephanie. We have about 5 or 7 minutes to go. And I want to mention this and then let each one of you, if you have some final comments. If you're interested in exploring this further with any of the three of our guests here, just go to the page where the panel is described, and you'll find their bios and some links on how to kind of access their work or them. And I would encourage that. And I just a comment, and then I'd let each of you kind of make the 2 minutes comments, whatever you might have. I've been around long enough to know nothing is it, or everything is it, whatever. And there's always the new wow, that's it, man, type of thing. And but also, having been around long enough, there has been some ability to kind of experience a lot of dots, a lot of pixels in my life, and actually see some of them come into focus, or enough of them to kind of create some clarity. And this whole polyvagal thing, I don't know what thing may not be the best way to describe it. I can just say for myself, and it's all obviously can only speak for myself, has really helped see the broader picture and the micro and the macro in the context I've never really had that big a view. From my cells to the energy that makes them up, to whatever that is everything, or is whatever. So you may want to play with this. And I think that it could be very valuable, for you individually and as well in going forward with your work. So anyhow, I'll zip my lip, as I said before, and allow the three of you to, to offer some comments as we come to a conclusion. And should I call somebody? you want? Suzanne, did I get you on the spot there?
I have a garbage truck that's just passing by. So I'm going to pass the torch to someone and come back to me.
How about I'm going to use that line next time, Suzanne. Beautiful. I do have a couple of closing statements, and I just want to, and one, thank you so much. It's it's really wonderful every time I come into a different panel, but I really enjoyed being with everyone today. Hopefully, the audience actually enjoyed our talk here, our discussions here, and hopefully got something out of it. I just want to close with this, is that just to send a message of peace to everyone, that you're not responsible for what shows up. You're not responsible for what shows up, but you are responsible to how you show up, to what showed up. If that 5-year-old is screaming inside of you, it is your responsibility to show up and soothe that child within. And sometimes we don't know what that is. And so one of the most important things that I do, and I like to kind of practice what I preach, is that every morning and throughout the day is I find ways to create safety within me. And sometimes it's just not talking. And sometimes it's just being grateful to the beverage I'm drinking. And sometimes, as my new favorite thing is, how many birds can I actually hear on my walk? And you'll be amazed how many birds you hear. And I've come to realize that my currency is safety, which is the portal to peace for me.
Mm. That's really lovely. I think that in closing, I wanted to just mention that polyvagal theory is a framework, and it shows us predictable patterns. It doesn't define us. It doesn't mean we're this or that. It's not labeling us, but it's showing us the way the predictable patterns go. And so, like the Buddha said, don't listen to me, check it out for yourself. And to be able to observe and see where you're at, to know if it's the 5-year-old or it's the, or the 35-year-old or the 58-year-old, whoever it is that's having these experiences, and what's the commentary. That's the biggest part for me, is the commentary, and developing self-compassion, using what we were designed for, these mammalian care, this okayness that we're wired for, that we might not feel we have access to. Find a way to get there. It's okay. It's okay. It might be a cold shower. That might not feel like it's going to bring you there, but it might bring you out of where you are. And so just to explore, to do the inquiry, to befriend yourself on the journey. And I think that for me has been self-compassion, to the commentary, has been the absolute key to peace for me. And so really harmony is a value for me in my life, and everyone in my world knows it. And my question to myself is this bringing me towards harmony or away from harmony? And that is how I stay in this place that kind of feels like this, of peace.
Thank you.
I want to reiterate everything everyone has said and share something that I read recently with I have a weekly Course in Miracles group. What is valuable and what is valueless? If we can remember what we truly value is peace, so that we can be in touch with, I'm not at peace right now. How can I be with myself and bring myself back to my breath? How can I remember I'm not my thoughts? How can I feel my feet on the ground in this moment? What is valuable to me? Number one, if we make peace our number one value, it will bring us joy beyond comprehension. We will be able to connect with one another. We'll be able to soothe those who are not in a position where they can connect with their peace. And we can, each one of us, bring more safety into the world, bring more peace into the world, if we can come back to, what do I really value? Do I value my being right in my judgment? Or do I value my peace and connecting and just love for myself despite my past? I think that's going to for each one of us, for each leader, and we're all leaders, we're all teachers in the peace movement. Are we conveying peace, which is love for ourselves and love for each other? Or are we conveying our judgment, our call for peace? We're either calling for peace, right? Because I'm not in peace right now. I need help. or can I express that peace, express that love? Thank you, everyone, for sharing this time with us. I'm really honored to be speaking to everyone and to have my colleagues on this panel. Thank you. Thank you, Yanni.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Les. I always ask myself, how did this go? And the only thought I was having is, I got to listen to this again. There's some really good stuff here. So that answers my question. And that's my, 5-year-old telling me that. That's, he can be fun sometimes.
That's a wise 5-year-old.
I was going to say.
Anyway, thank you so much. I feel very blessed by this, and I'm sure it'll help many people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.